Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here and you haven't been here before, then welcome. It's really lovely to have you here with me. And if you're returning, then welcome back. Thank you so much for supporting me and being here. I've been trying not to go full on autumn, but I absolutely love autumn and I'm seeing autumn all over the internet. So I couldn't wait any longer. We've gone full on autumn colours today, autumn makeup. I mean, obviously my hair's an autumn colour anyway, and autumn clothing with all of my little toadstools and things on there. So I'm sorry I couldn't hold it in any longer. It might still be August, but I'm going full on autumn now. Today's video is going to be about what I read in August and what I plan to read in September. But the first thing that I want to do is just say a massive thank you to one of my lovely subscribers, Lisa, who has sent me some books. So in one of my previous videos, I showed a book that I'd hauled from the charity shop that was actually the third one in the series. So Lisa's really kindly sent me the first two books. So this is The Awakening of Sunshine Girl and The Haunting of Sunshine Girl, so that I can read those two books first in the series. Not only that, but she also sent me another couple of books that she thought that I'd like. So this one is Susanna Kearsley, The Firebird, and another Susanna Kearsley, Mariana. Now this one says on the back that it's like something out of the pages of a Daphne du Maurier novel. So I'm really looking forward to reading those. Thank you so much, Lisa. It's really kind of you to send me those. The first book that I read in August was Always and Forever at Glendale Hall by Victoria Walters. This was such a beautiful book. It was really nice to read. It follows the story of a girl called Anna that when she was a child was in a terrible car crash which left her with a lot of physical injuries, which was a long recovery period, but also kind of left her with PTSD. So she's now living her life as an adult. She's now living her life in the fast lane, you know, as if she hasn't got a moment to lose, not giving any thought to the future, just playing fast and loose really, until she gets a job as a housemaid or a housekeeper at Glendale Hall. It's a tale of healing, overcoming adversity, finding yourself, your passions. There's a bit of romance in there and building back old relationships. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. The characters in the village and in the house were beautifully written. They were really lovely. You really felt as if you got to know those characters, and I kind of felt like I wanted to live there and that I wanted to be friends with all of these characters. They were all so kind and welcoming, and you feel that real sense of community there. I don't want to say too much about the book because, you know, you don't want it being spoiled, but there's a lovely scene in there where they go and visit a place where they're doing a whodunit night, you know, a murder mystery night. And I've never been to a murder mystery night, but the details were so beautiful and it was so well described. You know, I really felt like I'd been there, and it was really lovely. It was just a really nice touch to have that bit thrown in. Now, there are other stories in the Glendale series. This was not the first book in that series, but it didn't matter. You can read it as a standalone. It didn't matter that I didn't already know anything about the characters because the book reads as a standalone. I think from what I gather that some of the characters that are in it you will find in the other books, but you didn't need to read them and you didn't need to know those characters. Now, as I said, there was a really nice scene with the whodunit, the murder mystery night, and Victoria Walters is actually stepping out of her comfort zone, and on the, I think it's let me just check, 23rd of September, she's actually going in a little bit of a different direction with a murder mystery book, and it's called Murder at the House on the Hill. As well as the Glendale Hall books, the other books which I will get as time goes on, I am actually really looking forward to that one as well, and going a little bit down the murder mystery, Agatha Christie-ish type path. So yeah, I definitely recommend this book. It was really nice, it was beautiful, it was like a big warm hug. So the next book that I read in August was this one, The Butlins Girls. Now, I've been talking about this one for a little while. I've said it before that I used to go to Butlins as a kid, so really wanted to read this, really wanted to be a redcoat, but never quite made it there. So yeah, I was really looking forward to reading that one, and it did not disappoint. Don't be lured into the thoughts that it's just a boring little book about Butlins, because it's so much more than that. There are so many things going on. It's set in 1946 when the Butlins camps first reopened after the war, because during the war they were commandeered by the military, and that's where the military stayed before they were deployed overseas. So yeah, 1946 was the first year that they reopened again to holidaymakers, and obviously after the war everyone was really ready for a holiday. The book follows the story of Molly Missons, who starts off, you know, at home before she goes to Butlins. There's a whole, I don't want to tell you too much, but I want to tell you bits. So there's a whole story going on there back at home before she even gets to Butlins. She, for one reason or another, decides to leave there, take a job at Butlins, where she becomes a children's auntie, which is, you know, the ones that entertain the children. She gets on really, really well there, but within that, so there's the story going on in the background from home. There's the story going on with her at Butlins, and there are lots of little nods to things that if you've been to Butlins as a child, you will recognise, you know, things like the Holiday Princess competition, and you know, the sort of the activities that they do there, which was really nice. And for me, those descriptions really took me back to my childhood and going to Butlins. And there are then other stories running through it as well of those of her roommates and things that are going on at Butlins. There's mystery, there's murder, there are moments of peril and danger, and ultimately mystery solved, and also there's love and friendship in there. There's just so much going on in that little book. I really did not expect it at all. I just thought it was a nice little book about Butlins, and that's what I was expecting. There was so much more to it than that, and I actually really, really enjoyed reading it. So again, I would absolutely recommend that book. I've actually done really well this month because I read 4 books and I enjoyed and would recommend all of them. So the next one that I read was Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerry Maniscalco. This is the kind of genre that I always used to read. You know, a few years ago, this is what I would read, sort of YA fantasy type books. So it was really nice. I haven't read one for a while, so it was really nice to go back to it. And I really enjoyed it. It's set in Italy, and it tells the story of a pair of twins, Amelia and Vittoria, who are part of a Strega or witch family, but they don't really practice. They're not really practicing witches, although the nonna, the grandmother, always taught them protection spells and things like that, and gave them both a charm which they wear around their neck called cornicello. This was something that they should always wear, never take it off. It was a protection charm, and they should also never put the two of them together, so they always, you know, had to keep their own ones on. One of the twins ends up dying, and the other twin kind of goes on a quest of revenge to find out who it was that killed her sister, and ultimately comes into contact with the things that her grandmother, her nonna, always sort of warned her about and told her to keep away from, which was the Malvagi or the Wicked. So these are the 7 princes of hell, and they've got all the names like wrath, envy, greed, you know, all of those names that we've come to know through the 7 deadly sins. So this is the story of that sister, and I won't tell you which one it is, the surviving sister, and her quest to find the murderer of her twin, and lots of other things in between as well. There's lots of other things to overcome and mysteries to solve. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a really good book. I did enjoy it, and then because it was set in Italy as well, and the family, you've got all that family love, and you know, like an Italian family, and they own a restaurant, so there's lots of descriptions of really lovely good food and things like that in there as well, to sort of break up all the doom and gloom, if you like. But yeah, the twin, the one surviving twin, learns a lot of things, learns to be empowered and to trust in her magic and how to use her magic. And yeah, it was a really good book. I enjoyed it. So there is a next book to this one, which is Kingdom of the Cursed, and that comes out in October. So yeah, I'll definitely get the next one and follow the story on, because it wasn't a standalone book. It did end on a bit of a cliffhanger, and you're going to need to know what happens next. It's so difficult to kind of give descriptions and recommendations for these books, but without giving away any spoilers, because I went into a lot of these books knowing nothing really very much, only the bare bones, and that's the way that I like to do it. I like to go in and be surprised as time goes on. So I do try not to give away too much, but whilst also showing you why I enjoyed it. So it's quite difficult. So the last one, the 4th one that I read, I was going to read Escape to Willow Cottage. I had a lot of decorating for my daughter to do in the last couple of weeks. We've been flat out decorating her new house, so I didn't really have time to read that by the time the end of the month came. It's quite a thick book. So the one that I read instead was one that I've been absolutely dying to read for a while now, called Mrs. England by Stacey Halls. Now, Stacey Halls, she's becoming one of my favourite authors. I read her other books, The Familiars and The Foundling, and loved them. This book was very much the same. I absolutely loved it. It was a really, really nice book. So it follows the story of a girl called Ruby May, or Nurse May as she's known, because she's one of the Norland children's nurses, or as we know them now, the Norland nannies. And it basically follows her story as she goes out on the placements. And there's a lot of mystery involved. As I read this book, I was kind of like constantly wondering what was the real story. And you meet the characters and you don't know who's telling the truth and who's not, and who's the bad person and who's not. And you're constantly thinking, I know, I think this is going on. And then you think, oh, actually, I don't think that now. I think this is going on. And it just constantly had you thinking and on the edge of your seat. And I really liked that about it. And Stacey Halls as well has a really lovely way of sort of weaving little bits, so you get a bit of one story and a bit of something else and a bit of something else, but they don't seem disjointed. It all weaves together beautifully into the story, and then you come back to something else and you get little clues and little ideas of things that are coming, but not enough to make you think that it's obvious what's coming. You just get this little, oh, hang on a minute, what was that little thing that was said there? That might be useful later on, and it's woven together in such a beautiful way that you never really know what's going to happen and what the outcome's going to be, and it sort of leaves you wondering. I enjoyed it a lot. I read it in quite a short time. I read it in a few days, which is not usual for me because I am quite a slow reader, but I just literally could not put the book down. I normally read in the evening when I go to bed, but this one I found that I was picking it up first thing in the morning as well, and reading for a while in the morning, because I needed to know what was going to happen next all the time and whether what I thought was right. So I definitely pick up Mrs. England. It was great. I enjoyed it a lot. So the books that I'm intending to read for September are kind of they're a bit transitional. So for September I'm thinking that I'm going to be reading books that are not quite into the spooky zone yet. I've got some of my spooky zone books there ready for October, but sort of catching up with a few of the bits that I really wanted to read in the summer but didn't, and maybe just starting to get a little bit more suspenseful. So the first one is going to be this one, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. So I know I've mentioned this in a previous video. I need my glasses for this, but I'll just give you a little synopsis, and this is the one that I'm going to read first because I really, really have been wanting to read this. So for years, rumours of the Marsh Girl have haunted Barclay Cove, a quiet town on the North Carolina coast. So in late 1969, when handsome Chase Andrews is found dead, the locals immediately suspect Kaya Clark, the so-called Marsh Girl. But Kaya is not what they say. Sensitive and intelligent, she's survived for years alone in the marsh that she calls home, finding friends in the galls and lessons in the sand. Then the time comes when she yearns to be loved. When two young men from the town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself to a new life until the unthinkable happens. Now, this is the kind of story that I really would enjoy with that wild life, that life on your own, and seeing how she lives that way in the marshes. It gives me vibes, kind of a little bit. It's not the same, but it kind of gives me vibes of the film Nell, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving that a read. So the next one that I want to read is one that I've been wanting to read all summer, but I couldn't find the book in the charity shops, and I don't like paying full price for books if I can help it. So I actually ended up ordering this online from Amazon, but secondhand. So this one's The Summer of Serendipity by Ali McNamara. I've been looking in the charity shops for this one for a while because it was recommended to me. I couldn't find it, but in the process I found lots of other Ali McNamara books, and I read one of them and really, really enjoyed it. So I'm kind of glad that on my journey it led me to find other books, but I'm really looking forward now to reading that one. So I'll give you a little bit of the synopsis. So on the west coast of Ireland, Serendipity Parker is looking for the perfect house for her client, but when she finds a gorgeous property in Ballykiltara, there's a small problem. Nobody seems to know who owns it. The Welcome House is a local legend. If you're ever in need of shelter, its door is always open, and Serendipity has to find the owner, so she begins to investigate the history and the legend that surrounds the house and the town. Will she ever discover the truth behind the mysterious Welcome House? Or will the house cast its own spell and help her find true happiness? So it's kind of one of those summer read books, but I just didn't get around to it this summer. I did read, like I say, the other Ali McNamara book instead. So I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into that one. The next one that I'm going to read in September is this one, Far From the Madding Crowd. Still got the 50p label on it from the YMCA. So yeah, really loved the movie Far From the Madding Crowd. Really want to read the book. So I'm gonna get that one read in this next month. So independent and spirited, Bathsheba Everdeen owns the hearts of three men, striving to win her love in different ways. Their relationships with Bathsheba complicate her life in idyllic Wessex and cast shadows over their own. With the morals and expectations of rural society weighing heavily upon her, Bathsheba experiences the torture of unrequited love and betrayal, and discovers how random acts of chance and tragedy can alter life's course dramatically. This is by Thomas Hardy, and yeah, there's so much more to it than that. She inherits a farm, and as a woman is running this farm. Yeah, the film's quite really lovely. So I'm looking forward to reading that and hoping that it gives me the same feel good vibes. Well, that was fun. I've just recorded my final book and the last part of my video and gone back and realised that I didn't actually switch the record on. So there's a lesson learned for me. So the last book that I want to read in September is going to be this one, The Wonder by Emma Donoghue. This is a beautiful copy. So again, this was on my list that I wanted to buy later in the year with maybe some Christmas or birthday money. October is my birthday month. So it was on my list, but then I saw online that it was actually going to be made into a movie. And I can't watch a movie very easily and then read the book. I can read the book and then watch the movie, but I struggle with it the other way around. So I thought what I'd better do is get the book quickly so that I can read it this month. So this one I ended up getting on Amazon secondhand for £3.65, so it wasn't too bad. So this one, I'll read you a bit of the synopsis for this one so you know what it's about. Emma Donoghue, obviously probably most famous for The Room, which was made into a movie. Didn't read the book but loved the movie. You know, it was a really interesting movie, so I'm hoping this book's going to be really interesting too. It sounds it. So Lib Wright, a young English nurse, arrives in an impoverished Irish village on a strange mission. 11-year-old Anna O'Donnell is said to have eaten nothing for months but appears to be thriving miraculously. With tourists thronging to see the child and the press sowing doubt, the baffled community looks to an outsider to bring the facts to light. Lib's job is simple: to watch the girl and uncover the truth. An educated skeptic trained by the legendary Florence Nightingale and repelled by what she sees as ignorance and superstition, Lib expects to expose the fast as a hoax right away. But as she gets to know the girl over the long days they spend together, Lib becomes more and more unsure. Is Anna a fraud or a living wonder? Or is there something more sinister unfolding right before Lib's eyes? A tragedy in which she herself is playing a part. So that sounds really interesting. Can't wait to see the movie as it comes out, but really do want to read the book first. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and maybe found something there that you'd like to read, or maybe something you've already read. And if you have, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Please do comment below and I'll get back to you on that. Yeah, there's some really interesting books there, I think, for this month. I'm looking forward to that again this month. So my next video is going to be the first week in September. So the first week in September, I always do a book haul, a charity shop book haul. So that's what's going to be coming up next. If you liked today's video, please click the like button so that YouTube knows that you're liking my videos. And if you really liked it and would like to see some more of my videos, then please click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified every time something new goes up. So thank you so much for being with me today. I've really enjoyed being here and having you here with me, and I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.